Howdy everyone, and welcome back to The More You Grow. If you saw in the last video, I'm in the process of pulling most of my summertime plants to get ready for my fall garden. And one thing I also want to do while I was doing this process is add a few more features into the garden to add a little bit more interest. One of the ways I've grown most of my plants and vegetables in the past is in raised beds. And one of the problems I've had with raised beds is that they don't last super long if you make them out of wood. And you can do other things like get cedar, you can get the plastic or rubber kind of boards that they make, and there's a couple of different options. But right when I was looking for some new raised beds, I was contacted by Ollie Gardens and wanting me to check out their raised beds on how they do and wanting them to be added to the garden back here. So took them up on that. We got them in just the other day. Let's go put them together, see how they are, and let's get them all set up and we'll go from there. So let's go check it out. Alright, so here it is, guys, the Ollie Modular Garden Raised Bed. So what drew me to this and what made me want to really try out this product is because it should be very long lasting. It is a metal raised bed instead of wood, which eventually rots, it gets old, and you have to replace it, and nowadays wood is almost as expensive as metal, it seems like. So this really was something that was a draw to me when approached about this raised bed. And when I do products like this, or when I look at products like this is me giving an honest review. This was not something I was paid to do. They did send me a raised bed, but I told them it would be an honest review. So as we put this together, I will tell you what I really like about it. If there's something I don't like about it, I will just do that as honest feedback. So one thing that's really cool about these Ollie raised beds is that you can pick what kind of design you want. There's multiple different ways you can put it together, so it's not just a standard box or a rectangle of some kind. It's got options such as the tall raised bed. If you want one a little bit taller, you can have one tall raised bed. You can have a shorter and longer raised bed if you want it to be a little bit longer than it is tall. And you have enough to get a circular raised bed out of it as well. You can make two medium-sized oval raised beds, or you can make a large square with a circular center to it. So I will put a picture up of the different designs they have on the box if you can't see that. And so really this is going to be, I think, a pretty nice product. We'll see once we get in here. Alright guys, it took me a minute to get everything out of the box, but this is what you get. You've got your metal panels here, which are nice heavy duty galvanized steel, and they have an zinc coating on them, which one thing that's good about that, it's going to keep it from rusting up. And the other thing is this helps to reflect the heat. That coating is something that they put on to help reflect the heat. And a nice bonus to it, it comes in multiple different colors, so you can get a color that will match your garden, your house. I chose the sage green because I think that's going to go best with my garden. So on top of your panels, they send you some nice work gloves to work with. Pretty nice free set of gloves you can use there to keep your hands safe around these pointed edges. And in the hardware box, I'm gonna get a little closer and show you what we got in here. It's pretty simple stuff, guys. That's what I like, is I like for things to be simple. So in the box, they send you this. This is a rubber lining that can go around the top of your raised bed when you're done. That's going to keep you safe because it's going to make sure that you don't have any sharp edges. You've got your bolts. They send a little wrench. I will probably use my tool set just because I have a lot of different tools that will help a lot with this. But it's nice that they do send a wrench for people who have no tools at home, that you can assemble this on your own. And then you have your instructions. As you can see, 4 style multi-shape, so you can choose what style you want. Let me show you the styles they have here where you can see some pictures. So you can make a single tall raised bed. You can make 2 medium-sized raised beds. You could make a long raised bed and a circular one, or you could choose to do this square design with our round center to it, which is pretty neat. So I think I'm going to go with the 2 ovals because I have a plan for those. So this is going to be very straightforward, guys. This is not at all hard to assemble. It just takes putting some bolts in and tightening down the nuts on the other side. Really, this is probably one of the more simple raised beds I've put together. Even the ones I've made myself, one clear advantage I already see to it is that I don't have to cut anything. With other raised beds, I'm having to cut wood, cut metal, whatever it is, I'm gonna have to cut it. This one already comes to the size pieces I need. I just have to put the bolts that come with it through here and tighten them on. I really don't see an easier way of making a raised bed than this. So, and I love that it comes in a box straight to my house. I don't have to go pick anything up at the store, forget anything when I go to the store. That's already something I do all the time as it is, so it's nice to not have to do it with this raised bed. So we'll talk about more what I find as I put this together, but let's go ahead and put some of these bolts in and see how they go. All right guys, all the bolts are put in. I gotta say, I already can tell I'm gonna love this raised bed. It's sturdy, it's not flimsy. I was afraid it might bow out in the middle when we put soil in, but there's not gonna be any fear in that, I can tell. This is a very, very sturdy raised bed. The only thing that's left now is to go through here and we're gonna put the rubber lining on the top to protect it. And all it does is it just slides down on the top. Like so. Just like this. And so all you do is just go around, pushing this down as you go. And I'll show you what it looks like as soon as I get it all on there, guys. Okay, so I went ahead and assembled the other bed. It was the same process as the first one. They're just identical to each other, but I want to show you where I put them. I love this location for both of these raised beds. They're right here at the end. They look very symmetrical in the garden. I love how they look. So this is going to be a really good location, I think, for these raised beds. So let me bring you up closer to them now and talk about how to fill raised beds on a budget, how to spend the least amount of money on getting that raised bed filled, because it is a lot of soil you have to use to get a raised bed of this size filled. And then let's talk about what we're going to plant in these raised beds for this fall. So let's talk about the most cost-effective way to fill up a raised bed of this size, or any size for that matter. So you can see this one is filled almost to the top. I left a little bit of a lip so that way when it rains, seedlings don't wash away out of the tub right over the top and it doesn't just start pouring over the top too bad. We want that to soak through down to the bottom, not go over the top if we can. So the last thing you want to do when filling up one of these raised beds is use bagged soil. What I mean is when you go to a nursery or a local home and garden store, they have the big bags of soil. They've got topsoil, they got potting mix, garden mix. There's every kinds of mix you can think of. But the problem with that is it's gonna take dozens of them to fill up a bed like this. It would probably take 30, 40 pretty good sized bags to fill up just one of these raised beds. And each one of those are $3, $4, $5 a piece if you're getting the cheap stuff. That's gonna cost you hundreds of dollars in soil just to fill that up. This is filled up with well-aged compost that I bought locally here. I wanna tell y'all, first thing you should do is always check locally for people who make big batches of compost. We have a few facilities around us here that make compost in the giant rows. They use tractors to turn it and they sell it by the cubic yard. And I'll tell you, the stuff that I have here, really good, nice, well composted compost was only $20 a cubic yard. That's 3 foot by 3 foot pile. If I were to buy that in bags, that would probably cost me a couple of $100s. So if you ever can, find somewhere that composts local to you, even if it costs to ship it to you or to truck it to you, it's probably going to be more cost effective to buy it in bulk by the cubic yard rather than buy bags. And then you also don't have to carry bag after bag after bag after bag and load it, unload it. We just take the front end of our tractor. If you have something like that, it's a very useful thing, the front end of the tractor, and we just dumped it in. If you don't have that, there's people you can ask to borrow their tractor or to have them come help you. Or even if you got to get wheelbarrows, just a wheelbarrow is much easier than bag after bag after bag. So compost is the way to go. Find something that's really well aged. You don't want to put anything that's too fresh in there or it'll burn up your plants or your seedlings. So find well-aged compost, something that doesn't look like anything it was made from, doesn't look like manure, doesn't smell like manure, just smells like wonderful, rich soil. That's the sniff test. Always give your compost the sniff test. If it smells like poop, it is. It's not compost. So let's talk about what we're gonna plant in these beds and how we're gonna arrange it to make it look really nice in this garden. So the name of the game with these raised beds are fall garden. We wanna have something that's gonna be able to handle the cold coming up in the next few months, and we need something that is going to be edible. In my case, I wanna have an edible fall garden. So vegetables, herbs, you name it. The thing that people overlook with fall gardens a lot of times is color. You want to add something that adds beauty to your fall garden. A lot of them are very beautiful in themselves, but they're nothing like the summer gardens that are full of things like zinnias and sunflowers and beautiful flowers like that. There's not many flowers that go into the cool season very well. There are a few things like bachelor buttons do well, snapdragons do well as a cool season. There are cool season flowers, but one thing that you can do to get both edible and aesthetic and beauty is plant Swiss chard. Swiss chard comes in many different colors, as you can see. They come in everything from pink, red, orange, yellow, and these mix like bright lights, that's the variety here, just come in a beautiful array. They're very much a both edible and aesthetic and beauty enhancing plant. So what I want to do is I want to plant these just all in the center here. Just a big area of Swiss chard right in the center. What I want to put around these to kind of add a texture to the garden, I want to add some texture, a different kind of texture, is I'm going to plant some carrots. I have a big bag of carrot seeds. They're not anything with a picture that you can really see. There's cosmic purple in there. But these are mixes of red cord, chantenay, and little finger carrots. So I'm probably just going to plant these around the edges, kind of add a texture with the leaves, a very fine textured leaf. We're going to put that around the edges. One thing I'm considering, I haven't decided yet, is to grow some vining winter squashes, something like spaghetti squash, along the back. And maybe it can spill out into the garden that way from the back of the garden there. So I haven't decided. I may put some spaghetti squash along the back to see how they do. But what I know I'm going to do for now is I'm going to plant Swiss chard in the middle, carrots around the edge. So let's plant these real quick. I'll get back with you and I'll give you the final take on these raised beds. So what is my final thought and take on these Ollie Garden raised beds? I can 100% tell you, and with complete honesty, say these are the best raised beds I've ever owned in my life, and I've had a lot of raised beds. I can't think of another raised bed that can beat this in durability. This is thick metal, guys. It's not cheapo sheet metal. This is thick. It's going to last for years and years and years, maybe for the rest of my life, from what I can tell. There's not another raised bed that can beat this in ease of assembly and ease of building it. Because if I were gonna go build my own raised bed, I'd have to drive to the store, get the wood, get the screws, get all that, bring it home, cut the wood to the right length and not mess it up somewhere along the way. I always tend to cut things all the time and cut it 3 times and it's still too short. And so you have to cut it, then you have to drill it all together, you have to go set it out there. And with this, it comes right to your front door in a box. You take everything out, the sheets of metal are already pre-cut to the right sizes, and you just have to put the bolts in. And me being in a wheelchair did that in about an hour. So it's gonna take anyone else less time, I guarantee you, because all you're doing is just putting the bolts in. There are quite a few screws and bolts, but that's going to be really easy to do. Like it was no hard work on me. The hardest part about building this bed was deciding what I was going to put in it. The other thing that no other bed can really be matched in is the options you have. With this bed, you have 4 options of different designs that are easy to put together without changing any cuts, not cutting anything different, not needing to do anything different, just assembling it in a different way. You can have 4 different styles of raised beds very easily at your home with this. And the other thing that can't really be matched, in my opinion, is the aesthetics. It's very pleasing to see this in the garden. It's pleasing to the eyes, and it has a functionality to it as well. So not only does it look nice, it works well as well. So if you want to check out these gardens for yourself, these raised beds for yourself, I'm going to leave the link to Ollie Gardens down in the description where you can go check these out for yourself. I'll also link their Amazon account where you can go see those. It's going to be really easy just to order one, have it shipped to your door in just a few days, and put together within an hour or so, and have plants in it by the end of the day. So all I'm going to do until then is water these seeds, let them grow. I might add some more things to it as I go, but we'll see. But until then, if you like this video, be sure to hit that like button. If you have any more questions for me about these Ollie gardens or anything like that, leave it down in the comments. And also tell me, if you had a raised bed like this, what would you plant in it for a fall garden? I might do something different with a few more of these, because I may get some of these myself. If need be, I will probably buy some more of these. I like them so much. So if you haven't done so yet, be sure to subscribe to the channel. Go check us out on Facebook and Instagram. And if you haven't done so yet, go check us out on our farm YouTube page, King Cross Farms. It's where we post all of our animal videos, and Morgan puts videos out about things going around here at the farm. And this channel is going to be more of the garden and the plant side of things here at our farm. So until next time, I hope you'll join me right here on The More You Grow.